everyone, welcome back. I want to take a few minutes and talk to you about food additives. There's a lot of things being put into food nowadays and make it taste better with a big focus on things like low fat. A lot of this food would taste like cardboard, so they put things in it to stimulate your brain centers that have to do with the taste recognition to make them taste better. But the problem is all these chemicals that they're adding, the preservatives to make them last longer, the colorings to make them look better, and the things to make them taste better like artificial sweeteners, the flavor enhancers, what they call excitotoxins, can have a detrimental effect on your body and particularly your brain. And when we take a look at kids, the effects on the kids' nervous systems, they can wind up with learning difficulties, emotional problems, ADD, ADHD. It can complicate autism. And not only kids, but also looking at adults. I mean, it affects the parts of the brain that have to do with the endocrine system, which has to do with your hormone balances. And it can precipitate neuro-degenerative processes in the brain, causing brain diseases such as Parkinson's and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, Alzheimer's, and so forth. So these are obviously things that we don't want to experience later on in our life, but some of these are irreversible once they're caused, and these excitotoxins can have these neurodegenerative effects on us, so we want to make sure that we're aware of those so we don't ingest them and cause problems that we may live with for the rest of our lives. You know, when we take a look at one of the keynote books that's out there called Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills. This is by Russell Blaylock. He's a board-certified neurosurgeon. He goes into depth into the research about how this is affecting our brains and what's happened over time. You know, for years, MSG was one of the major flavor enhancers after World War II. And a lot of people wound up finding how detrimental these are to our health and stopped buying products that had them in it. So what they've done is they take MSG, they mix it in with other compounds and change the names. So anything that has glutamate, aspartate, like the aspartames, artificial sweeteners, and things like Splenda, which is sucralose, any of those are all neurotoxic to your nervous system and your brain, so you really want to stay away from them. So what can you do about this? Very simply, you just need to start to read your labels. So, for example, some hidden sources of MSG. A couple of things that I see a lot in labels when I'm looking at them are things like hydrolyzed protein and yeast extract. But here's a whole other list of things that you want to take a look at. Obviously, monosodium glutamate, MSG, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, hydrolyzed plant protein. Anytime you see hydrolyzed in it, it's probably a flavor enhancer. Plant protein extract, sodium caseinate, calcium caseinate, glutamic acid, glutamate, autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed oat flour, textured protein. So those are the more common things that you'll see that always have MSG in them. And then there are some that frequently contain MSG, and those are malt extract, malt flavoring, any bouillons, broth, stock, flavorings, even natural flavorings. They say that almost 60% or the natural flavorings sometimes can contain somewhere between 40 to 60% of MSG. Natural beef and chicken flavorings, a lot of different seasonings, seasoned salts, and spice mixes. You know, seasoned salts, I grew up in a family that didn't know anything about health, unfortunately, and I grew up, my mom was putting accent on everything, and that's basically MSG. So it's good to become aware of these so you can start to make some changes and take a look at those labels. Be sure you read them, and if you see any of these terms listed on there, you really want to try to stay away from it as much as possible. So I'm Dr. Greg Chappell. Thanks for listening. Please share this information with friends and family so we can all be on our mission to help to get our community healthy. And remember, you got one life to live. Let's live it well.